organizing today's seminar on the subject of diplomatic successes. I would, at the very outset, like to acknowledge the contributions of our foreign service towards successful diplomacy. The world acknowledges that Pakistan has one of the best foreign services globally. We have a great legacy left by great individuals and legends such as Sahibzada Yaqub Ali Khan and Jamshed Markar. And I'm very proud to say that that legacy has been carried forward well by the professionals of our Foreign Office. And I often witness the effort, the skill that goes into diplomacy, because diplomacy, they say, is an art. It cannot be learned overnight. It is something that is not only complex, but it really takes time and effort to acquire those skills. So I would like to pay my compliments to all the former and serving ambassadors sitting here who've done a great service to Pakistan. We're all very proud of you. Thank you so much. And we witness this wherever we go around the globe, that even with meager resources, the way our diplomats have kept our flag flying high and the way they have contributed immensely towards the cause of Pakistan, these services shall always be remembered. And when we talk about the contemporary situation that has arisen in the region, Pakistan has always had that advantage of being at the crossroads of civilization, being strategically located at a very, very relevant place, where on one side we have a landlocked Central Asia, on one side we have China, a strategic partner to Pakistan, and then, of course, as very rightly and in detail and enunciated by various speakers here, the whole India-Afghanistan situation which we are currently faced with. But what was the difference in May 2025? Pakistan has always been falsely accused of promoting terrorism, where in fact, I always say that Pakistan is the biggest victim of terrorism. No other country can claim that it has laid down 90,000 lives in the war against terrorism. No other country can claim that they have suffered losses of hundreds of billions of dollars in terms of economic losses. And we're a nation where not only officers of our armed forces, Jawans of our armed forces, law enforcement agencies, civilians, but our children have given sacrifices. You've seen the APS Peshawar attack. You've seen the attack recently on a school bus in Khuzdar in Balochistan. No other nation can claim that their children have also laid down their lives in this war against terrorism. So what was the difference? As rightly pointed out, before the May 2025 war and right after the war, it was great diplomatic efforts, reaching out to friendly countries and clearly explaining the situation that we are faced with. And it takes skillful diplomacy, and it takes a lot of courage and effort to get the message across. So I think those diplomatic efforts must really be acknowledged. And you saw that when the escalation started in May 2025, the Prime Minister led from the front, and you could see him interacting with ambassadors from different countries and reaching out and explaining the situation on ground. And the turning point in this escalation was that when speaking at PMA Kakul, the Prime Minister offered an impartial investigation into the Pahalgam incident. Now, this offer to investigate the Pahalgam incident was not a mere statement. It actually proved that Pakistan had clean hands, that Pakistan had nothing to do with the Pahalgam incident. And when this statement was made loud and clear, I think we made it evident to the world that we are not only willing to cooperate with an investigation, but we are actually eager for an investigation into the incident. Because a country which suffers from terrorism cannot promote terrorism. These two contradictory sides cannot go together. So I think that really turned around the tide, and we received overwhelming support from across the globe. And a lot of friendly countries not only supported Pakistan, but they very clearly stated that since Pakistan has offered an investigation, there is no more room for further escalation. But India had nefarious designs as always. And when we look back, we see that how the two-nation theory has become strengthened after May 2025, because India had hegemonic designs. India had this false notion of rising India, this false notion of being the leader in South Asia, or if I may be allowed to say, a bully in South Asia. But Pakistan, as always, proved to be a balancing factor in this region, a neutralizing factor in this region, because a war which we never desired was imposed upon us. And when that war was imposed upon us, we've hardly seen this kind of synergy and cohesion. The whole nation came together behind our valiant armed forces. And we rose above our political differences. Yes, there is a political divide in the country. Yes, there is polarization. Nobody can deny that. But when we were faced with an enemy who wanted to prove its military dominance in the region, we came together as a nation. And the nation, united as one, gave a befitting response to the enemy. And the armed forces led by Field Marshal Sayyid Asim Munir defeated an enemy 4 times as big as Pakistan. And India suffered a humiliating defeat, which they are still not able to digest. Just a few days ago, I did a press conference in which we revealed that they're still trying to hatch certain conspiracies. And a fisherman from the high seas was caught by the Indian Coast Guard and was tasked with a certain assignment to procure certain uniforms so that they could pin an incident on Pakistan, another false flag operation, which we highlighted just a few days back. So they're always trying to conspire against Pakistan, but our military response was befitting, that within a few hours, they were compelled to a ceasefire and they requested for a ceasefire. And I must also mention that the way our Air Force shot down 7 planes, which has now been mentioned more than a dozen times by the US President himself, that is clear evidence of how our Air Force, led by Air Chief Marshal Zahir Ahmed Babar, defended the motherland. So we proved our military dominance, that we were never desirous of a war, but when war was imposed upon us, our armed forces gave a befitting response. The whole nation came together, politicians, the entire country, the whole media, and I would also like to pay my compliments to the Pakistani media, because when we were fighting this narrative war at the international level, and we were appearing on foreign media, giving Pakistan's perspective, building our own narrative, we knew that our own domestic front was in safe hands because Pakistani media acted very responsibly. And the Pakistani media gave a message of hope to the nation and very, very responsible reporting. Because when we were listening to the Indian media, and as information minister, I was not in favor of any ban on Indian YouTube channels because the entertainment value of those channels had increased over time. The comic relief that they provided by destroying the port of Lahore or the port of Multan, and by destroying entire cities as per their own narrative. So I think that was much needed comic relief which was provided by the Indian media. And the whole warmongering and the whole theatrics of it all. So I think when somebody suggested to me, one of my officers came and they said, why don't we ban the Indian YouTube channel? I said, no, we must not do that. We must provide this comic relief to our citizens. It is much needed in this time of stress. And what we did was, one of these young employees of the digital communication department came up to me and he said, I have an idea. And in this way we can air our national songs and patriotic songs and images of our armed forces and the Pakistani flag in India. I said, go ahead. So he came up with this plan. And when those videos had hit above 2 million views, the whole Indian nation was behind their government, asking them that how did they allow this? And they were taken by complete surprise. So I think that's the kind of innovation we had in Pakistan, that where the Indian media was resorting to its old tactics of blame game, of conspiracies, of coming up with false narratives, our people actually were going through innovative thoughts and coming up with schemes to which India had no answer. So I think every aspect, military dominance, diplomatic success in the field of narrative. So I think we've been blessed that this war has given Pakistan a new hope, a new meaning. And I've been to more than a dozen countries post this war and accompanied the Prime Minister. I can tell you for sure that the respect that we've received and the way that we've been honored everywhere, I think we as Pakistanis are extremely proud. And when we talk about the Pakistani diaspora, we interact with people from the Middle East, people settled in North America, in Europe, in Australia. The way these people are treated has also been changed. So they also go out with a new hope, with a new vigor. So I think that's the kind of change that we've witnessed, where the Pakistani diaspora, the Pakistani expatriates have received a lot of respect across the globe. And who can forget that right after the war, we saw images on social media of people celebrating Pakistan's victory on the streets of Istanbul, on the streets of Baku, elsewhere in the world. So those were very heartwarming images. So when we talk about diplomatic successes, it is skillful diplomacy before the war, during the war, and after the war, which still continues and which has really given Pakistan an advantage. And I used to see the Indian Foreign Secretary appear on television with a long face and hopelessness because they had no story to tell. Because when you come up with false narratives, it is very difficult to defend one's own stance. And when your stance is based on conspiracies, falsehood, and contradictory claims, that leads to diplomatic failure. So where we celebrate Pakistan's diplomatic success, we must also realize that India has suffered diplomatic failure because of false narratives, because of a false stance, because of inherent contradictions in its policy. And that false notion of rising India, fell flat on its face, and the whole world witnessed that. And I would also like to add that the historic strategic mutual defense agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia has been celebrated at home as well as in Saudi Arabia, because every Pakistani dreams of protecting the most holiest sites of Islam, and I think we've been blessed having been granted that honor. And that strategic mutual defense agreement will go down in history as one of the most important achievements in our diplomatic history. And this recent visit to Saudi Arabia, where the economic strategic framework was launched, I think it's a great success in terms of enhancing Pakistan's FDI, enhancing trade, and taking Pakistan's trade deficit into a surplus. So I think Pakistan is now open for business. Pakistan has a good story to tell. And we see the economic turnaround, which has been positively leveraged, and countries around the world are seeing Pakistan as a good destination for investment. So I think once, right after May 2025, when the tide turned and we were blessed with a victory, the way forward now is to engage the global community, to invest in Pakistan, and to open Pakistan's ports to Central Asia. And our dear ambassador from Uzbekistan is here. And they're very keen to access Pakistan's port for their own trade. So I think we must work tirelessly to ensure that we get maximum benefit from our seaports. We've been blessed with warm water ports, and encourage more foreign direct investment in Pakistan, and use our diplomatic skills to reach new heights in the economic field. So this is an ongoing situation in which Pakistan's diplomacy has not only succeeded, but it continues to reach new heights, and we've engaged our friendly countries. And I would also like to pay my compliments to the Prime Minister because of his personal rapport and chemistry and the way that he's engaged world leaders in this entire situation. I think kudos to him. And even recently, when President Donald Trump asked him to speak out of all the leaders of the world who were present there, so I think it was an honor for Pakistan, and especially for Pakistanis residing in the United States. They must have felt a sigh of relief. They must have realized that there is hope for Pakistan. And I think behind these successes is the unity of thought and action between the civil and military leadership. I must acknowledge that. Without this unity, none of these successes would have been possible. And we hope that this unity continues so that Pakistan, which has rightly claimed its place, a respectable place in the community of nations, can prosper, and the people of Pakistan, wherever they may be in the world, can walk with their heads held high that we are Pakistanis, and Pakistan has done a great service to humanity. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for underscoring the importance of renewed global engagement in shaping Pakistan's